Ubisoft is in trouble, guys. They just closed a studio down. People are getting laid off. Assassin's Creed Shadows is in turmoil. There's rumors that they scaled back Yasuke, and to be quite honest, that's way too little, too late for this company. Ubisoft was once a titan in the gaming industry. Think of some of the legendary titles outside of Assassin's Creed they've had: Watch Dogs, Beyond Good and Evil, the Rainbow Six series. Now they're a shell of their former self, all because of DEI, because of wokeness. And it doesn't matter how many copies Assassin's Creed Shadow sells, they're already too far gone, especially when they've lost so much money between Skull and Bones, Star Wars Outlaws, you name it. Now, the company's ongoing struggles have actually been exposed. They have struggles with failed game launches. Like, literally, I don't think they had one game give them a profit this year. And on top of that, there's questionable leadership decisions and the financial instability of their company as a whole. It's basically, again, like I said, the reason why we're seeing layoffs, studio closures, and it's all them being desperate to stay alive, to stay afloat. Although we're pretty sure that Tencent is probably going to be buying it here in the near future. So as I mentioned, Ubisoft recently announced the closure of Ubisoft Leamington, who's a UK-based studio that used to be called Freestyle Games, and they were acquired from Activision in 2017. So the studio's been around for a bit, and they employed around 50 staff members who worked on titles like Star Wars Outlaws, which flopped, and Skull and Bones, which also flopped. And this closure, of course, is part of restructuring. Yeah, that's corpo speak for, hey, we're losing money. It's part of a restructuring effort, and it highlights Ubisoft's inability to sustain its studios amidst a sharp decline in market confidence. We've seen the stock drop. We've seen the shares drop. All-time decade lows here, guys. And on top of that, there's all sorts of additional layoffs that are impacting other Ubisoft locations, such as Stockholm, Dusseldorf, and Reflections. So in total, there's approximately 185 employees being let go. This is not a company that is in good standing, guys. And Ubisoft has nobody to blame but themselves. And we've been pretty hard on Ubisoft. So much that this year I got kicked out of the Ubisoft Creators Program. Yeah, I was part of the Ubisoft Creators, where they sent me game codes and previews and other things for, I guess, essentially covering their games. But essentially, they don't like criticism, so oh well. I'm going to tell it like it is, and I feel Ubisoft is a shell of its former self. Now, apparently, Endymion and Smash both got an email from an insider that's at the Stockholm office, and they're anonymous still, but there's an internal email floating around that they shared that's outlining that the company's reasoning was a bid to secure long-term stability. So basically for them to go on sale, I guess, to not go bankrupt, to basically make themselves look like they're worth buying. I think that's what the case is right here. But apparently they're offering severance packages and career support. But all these efforts, I feel, are like too little too late for many of the employees that are affected. Think about all the employees that weren't buying into the woke ideologies that Ubisoft had. Imagine that you're like a regular employee working at Ubisoft and you get caught in the crosshairs because your company's incompetent and that you're just trying to feed your family. 185 employees let go because Ubisoft doesn't know how to run themselves anymore. So yeah, if you've been paying attention to the channel, we've covered all their financial woes. Their market value has plummeted by 85% since 2021. How they're still operating, I have no clue. I don't think Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to save them. It dropped from 12.17 billion to just 1.78 billion as of early 2025. There's poor game performances like Star Wars Outlaws. And literally they said that sales were softer than they had expected. They barely were able to struggle 1 million copies sold of a fucking Star Wars game. How does that work? And then, of course, there's massive cost of games, long delayed projects like Skull and Bones, which reportedly costed them $650 to $850 million. And I remember playing that and I was extremely let down with Skull and Bones. Where's this money spent? That game did not seem like they put $650 million of development into it. They're literally burning money at this point. and they're just draining their resources without delivering any kind of like quality. And literally, name the last decent Ubisoft game that you have played. Prince of Persia, the one that just came out this last year, had potential, but that flopped as well, sadly, to the point where they closed that studio down and sent those people other places in Ubisoft. So the main franchises for Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed Shadows, that was delayed to March. It was supposed to come out in November and then February, and now delayed to March. And according to that, just delaying that alone cost this company $20 million. And now they're scaling back with Yasuke. They probably had some more costs with development to change things in the game. This game is, even if it doesn't fail, but let's say should the game fail to meet expectations, it will be a catastrophic blow to Ubisoft. But I think even if it doesn't fail, let's say this game sells millions of copies, makes millions of dollars, there's no way they're going to be out of the red. I think the wounds, the blood is too far. Like they have so much bleeding already. They've lost so much money that Assassin's Creed Shadows alone cannot save this company. It doesn't matter how well it does. So much of Ubisoft's failures, like I said, can be attributed to their management, their misguided priorities, their focus on DEI, which again we've been covering that on here. How on paper, yeah, sure, it's admirable, it's noble in intent, but it alienates gamers, especially when you have employees that are busted on their social media, hating white people, hating gamers, calling us chuds, attacking us, blaming us for when games flop. And essentially, it just breaks trust in your brand, where people are like, no, I'm not going to buy an Ubisoft game again because they're ugly to their consumers. They're forgetting who they need to make games for. Instead, they're catering to this modern audience, which does not exist. On top of that, their marketing sucks. On top of that, you had X Defiant, which was called a COD killer, that was abruptly canceled out of nowhere. It didn't even last a year. They didn't even give that game a chance. And then Skull and Bones is basically their biggest flop of all time at this point, until Star Wars Outlaws and Shadows surpassed that. I don't even know how much of a budget they had for Shadows or Outlaws, but there's mismanagement at a staggering scale with Ubisoft, and millions of dollars are essentially being wasted here, squandered. And I think Ubisoft is going to go bankrupt here in the near future. Now, as I said, Smash JT and Endymion were contacted by an Ubisoft insider with leaked information about layoffs at the Stockholm branch. And to protect their identity, they kept them anonymous. So we don't know who this is. We don't know how accurate this is. So take it with a grain of salt. But this is still interesting because there's a screenshot that has been provided of an internal email. It's kind of hard to read, so I'll just read this excerpt right here, but it offers insight into Ubisoft's reasoning behind the changes. Here's the excerpt that Smash posted on his website. It says, "Dear team, as you all know, the past year has been marked by significant challenges for Ubisoft and our industry, challenges that have necessitated changes in the form of targeted restructurings across our global organization and production studios. Together, we navigated these uncertain times with resilience and an unwavering commitment to deliver exceptional games and drive innovation. However, to secure our long-term stability and future success, we must continue to make some very difficult decisions. Restructuring the Stockholm studio. This morning we announced a restructuring of our Stockholm studio. The decision was not made lightly. However, it is a necessary step to refine the studio strategy and secure long-term stability. The Stockholm team plays a vital role in our future, and for their vision to succeed, we must create the right environment for their projects to thrive. We estimate that approximately 20 roles in the Stockholm studio may be impacted. We know that this decision impacts more than just the studio and its projects. It impacts people, our colleagues, teammates, and friends. We deeply understand how difficult this is, and supporting everyone through this transition is our utmost priority. We're committed to providing severance packages, yada, yada. So you get it, right? And then they're also talking about updates from Zone 4. In addition to the restructuring announced in Stockholm, similar efforts have also been shared today within Zone 4. In Germany, Ubisoft Dusseldorf has announced that around 65 positions may be made redundant. Meanwhile, in the UK, we'll see the closure of Ubisoft Leamington site and around 100 roles proposed to be made redundant across Ubisoft Leamington and Ubisoft Reflections. A global update on this will be available through an article on Agora, which will be published around noon tomorrow. tomorrow. Moving forward, as we move forward after today's news, I want to thank you all. Your resilience, creativity, and passion are what make our zone extraordinary. As we work through this transition, let's continue to support one another and stay focused on the path ahead. Together, I'm confident we will emerge stronger and ready to deliver on the bold ambitions we've been building. If you have any questions, yada, 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 right? So I don't know why they sound so optimistic in this. It's hard to take it seriously considering the massive losses this company's had. The stock value, again, nosedived by over 85% since early 2021. And it's like, this company's a mess. This company's a mess, guys. I feel on top of everything that we've talked about, X Defiant getting shut down, Shadows being delayed, Skull and Bones cost some money, Outlaws failing. This company is just a shell of its former self, and they're feeling the consequences now. They're getting people laid off. Studios are closing. Their push for DEI is alienating the consumers, and that's why people aren't supporting. People are toning out in droves. And the situation at Ubisoft is looking grim, guys. I think internal emails being leaked out and shared with Smash reveal the full extent of this company's struggles. I think studio closures, massive layoffs, financial losses, and strategic blunders have left Ubisoft basically teeter-tottering on the edge of the cliff, and I think they're going to fall off. Even if Shadows succeed, they're going to fall off. There's no way they're going to have a major turnaround. They're going to be bought here in the near future. So what are you guys' thoughts? Let me know down below. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.